Here are 45 things every hunter main should know. As hunters know, mobility is one of the most important stats to invest in, as it directly affects how quickly you get your dodge ability back. But it also affects how fast you can strafe from side to side. When using Mask of Bakris, if you slide and then dodge into walls at a certain angle, it will actually launch you even farther, making it so you can dodge almost twice as far. When using the weighted throwing knife, if you want to cancel mid-animation, all you have to do is press the buttons or keybinds for your super. However, if you have your super fully charged and you try this, it will actually activate your super, so use with caution. Gemini Jesters are an exotic leg armor that take away your enemy's radar if you dodge near them. They will also do a very small amount of damage to reveal just how many opponents you disoriented. But if you want to do this safely, you can simply go behind cover, objects, and even walls to still take away their radar. The damage from Gemini Jesters can actually cancel revives and heavy ammo pickups for the other team. The revive and heavy ammo pickup time gets reset every time you take damage from any source, no matter how much damage it is, which makes this extremely helpful in trials as it works through walls. Double jumping on low ceilings will actually give you concussions. Double jumping on low ceilings will actually catapult you forward at a faster speed. And if you want to make it even faster, simply put on stompies and maybe a hard hat. If you're having a hard time landing throwing knife headshots with weighted throwing knives, you should try bouncing them off of surfaces. They have insane aim assist after bouncing, and with Athers's Embrace, you get an extra bounce to pull off some really nice clips. Gambler's Dodge has a better animation than Marksman's Dodge. It's about 2 meters farther in distance and does more of an evasive tumble animation instead of a sidestep animation. Speaking of Gambler's and Marksman's Dodge, you can actually direct them where you want to go even mid-animation. However, with Acrobat's Dodge, you cannot change mid-animation, it only adjusts the camera angle. If you equip an all-black shader and wear a faceless helmet, you instantly improve your KD. Vanishing Step, a Void Hunter aspect, has its own unique dodge animation, which means it doesn't matter which dodge you select for your class ability, as it will just override both of those animations. This allows you to select which class ability perk you want to benefit from without having to worry about compromising a good animation. The exotic chest piece Dragon Shadow passively grants plus 50 mobility when activated, meaning you could theoretically distribute 50 mobility stats into other stat categories if desired. Any lightweight weapon archetype grants plus 20 mobility whenever you are wielding it. This also affects the cooldown of your dodge ability, allowing you to possibly spec into other stats if needed. Normally, you take damage from your own trip mine grenades when they detonate near you. However, if you wear Young Ahamkara's Spine, you're not going to take any damage from them. Young Ahamkara's Spine also secretly has the mod Fastball intrinsically applied to it, meaning you don't need to waste a mod slot on it to throw your grenades farther. Using the wombo combo of a trip mine and an explosive throwing knife, you can kill anyone that has full shields from standing in a Warlock Rift. This includes Warlocks using the Stag exotic helmet. While you can't kill someone out of a Well of Radiance using the knife trip mine combo, any damage from any other source during the process of them taking damage from the knife trip mine combo will usually result in them dying. Just be sure to time it up right with your teammates and you should be able to kill them out of their well. Activating the quick fall from your Trapper's Ambush aspect actually grants 2 more seconds of invis duration compared to just throwing the smoke melee at the ground. When activating invisibility, you need to be careful because you don't actually go off radar until about a second after your invis registers. You also need to be careful that you don't double jump or sprint while you're invisible because it will reping the enemy's radar despite you still being invisible. Graviton Forfeit grants 2 additional seconds to your invis timer, and if you spec correctly, it can give you a total of 11 seconds of invis duration for 1 quick fall smoke bomb activation. When using Graviton Forfeit, it's actually not recommended to run tier 10 recovery. When you're wearing Graviton and going invis, your recovery gets pushed to 9.5, even if you're running tier 10. In other words, if you've got 100 recovery and you go invis wearing Graviton, your 100 recov is actually being slightly adjusted to that 9.5 recov speed, essentially making this a wasted stat. It's actually suggested that you run tier 9 or even tier 8 recovery and placing those stats elsewhere into your build. While dodging no longer breaks aim assist like it once did, it does still break reticle friction against controller input methods. When jumping around corners to engage an enemy, try delaying your second jump until right before you come into the sight of the enemy. By doing this, you're preventing your enemy from being able to react to hearing the sound that your jump makes. On a similar note, when dueling someone that is standing behind a Titan barricade, Try baiting them by acting like you're going to jump over the barricade, but then at the last second jump backwards. This is most effective when using strafe jump. The Relentless Tracker perk on Foetracer not only gives you plus 20 to every weapon's airborne effectiveness, but it will mark targets that you damage for 5 seconds, similar to what the old One-Eyed Mask used to do. Foetracer also increases damage to low health enemies. This threshold starts at 30% health remaining and exponentially increases depending on the damage remaining. So for example, when your opponent or combatant gets to 29% health remaining, you will do 1% more damage. When they get to 20% health remaining, you will do 10% more damage. When they get to 10% health remaining, you will do 20% more damage. This becomes incredibly useful in strikes, legendary lost sectors, and even raid bosses. You can cancel your grenade throwing animation after you throw your grenade. You do this by throwing your grenade, then swapping weapons immediately after. It does, however, only work with grenades that stick to surfaces like trip mines, lightning grenades, and void spike grenades. The Vanishing Execution exotic perk for Assassin's Cowl makes you invisible whenever you finish a combatant or get a powered melee kill, but you don't have to use a void subclass in order for it to make you invis. It will work on any subclass you choose. Your trip mine grenade can actually stick to your teammates, and if they run near an enemy, they can set off the trip mine. This technically isn't a hunter exclusive anymore, but it works great with Ahamkaras. Renewal Grasps, despite their nerf, can still prevent you from being killed by a few commonly used things in the Crucible. When standing in your dusk field using Renewal Grasps and equipping the fragment Whisper of Chains, you can survive a legendary slug shotgun to the head, a direct hit from any precision frame fusion rifle, a weighted throwing knife headshot, a wombo combo using the proximity knife and trip mine combo without Ahamkaras, and a flux grenade. Your snares that stick on surfaces will ping on the enemy radar as an opponent would, which can create some really good opportunities to bait a kill. Powerful Friends is a charged with light mod available from 801 in the tower randomly, which grants plus 20 to mobility when applied with another arc mod or another arc charged with light mod. This is basically a necessity to equip when playing as a hunter in PvP, as it's just free stats. Marksman's Dodge activates post-kill perks like Kill Clip and Multi-Kill Clip, allowing you to automatically reload your equipped weapon. This can save weapons that have inherently slow reload times. Much like a Titan with their Barricade or a Warlock with their Rift, dodging into the wall from behind cover can give you a third-person point of view and allow you to gain valuable information as to where your opponents might be. This is useful in trials and competitive, as using any kind of emotes in those game modes will actually keep you in the first person point of view. When using your Blade Barrage super, you can control the spread of the Blade Barrage knives to either widen or tighten up simply by aiming where you want them to go during the animation. This is much easier to accomplish on mouse and keyboard than it is on controller. We know that Frosties increase the recharge rate of all abilities by 100%, but it also increases your sprint speed by about 6%, and can exceed the sprint speed cap from having 100 mobility. When you make yourself invisible while using Omni Oculus, you can survive a chaperone headshot if you're at tier 10 resilience. If you're a fan of using the stasis subclass, then I would suggest using the Shatter Dive aspect. This can be especially useful after you use your Revenant super, as the super animation will lock you into the air for a few seconds. And even if you're not using Glacier Grenades, Shatter Dive is a really strong movement mechanic that can essentially allow you another get out of jail free card if you're stuck in the air. This, coupled with a fast cooldown dodge ability, and you've got both ground and aerial evasiveness covered. When using Raju's Harness, you can deactivate your super early and even preserve some super energy if you happen to pop your super at an inopportune time. And if you deactivate your super instantaneously, you will always get about 62% of it refunded. Lastly, and probably most importantly, dodge, profit.